Part 9. Guarding. 8 bards, 2 poisoned and dead, 2 treated and unconscious, one's throat split open and collarbone shattered, lay on the broken glass podium. Gray, distraught, frantically fighting for the already lost life of the head bard, could feel the darkness creeping in. The light was fading as the evening drew on, and the runes of firelight inlaid in the ground were broken by the blood of the bards. The 3 remaining bards swallowed their fear and pain and sang out these words: "The charm of life yours given away, now you shall pass to chain," in ancient draconic poem. The 2 yellow runes appeared on the ground, one under the man hunched about to strike the prone crystal body, and one beneath a lady, ladened in cloth. "Well, no better time than any?" The lady flicked her sleeves down as the runes beneath her started to glow orange. Her sleeves tore at the seams, revealing one missing arm and one burnt by dragon fire. She smiled, blood coating her lips, a shard of sandy glass braided into her hair, streaks of white showing the aging magic. She smiled, warmth in her eyes, and yet there was spite in her mouth. A flick of the wrist and 2 rings of gold were sent flying, both colliding mid-air, sparks announcing the strike to its mark. The 2 discs united struck deep into the waist of the bejeweled man. The runes beneath them both lit red, and like a flash of lightning, the 2 vanished. 3 days had passed, and nothing had come of the events of that day. Only the news that the jeweled man, Maeto, had escaped from where he was sent, and that the lady had never. For the next 3 days, the group split up. Smythe had been separated from Gray and Markham for the last 2 days, often working to get his position in politics back, and spending time with his new fiancée. The rest of the time he was off with old friends. Gray spent some time with Poppy and Dina, sightseeing and dining out. Markham, tense and suspicious as always, spent some time working at the guardhouse. He had found clues to his situation there. There were few files on people outside of the city. There were a few, and Maeto was certainly not in any of them. The only files he found were on a few murders on the outskirts of town. While at the files office, Markham met Matthias, Rambutan Smythe's old friend that he spoke with at the ball. Together they started to inquire with the main detective of the office, Sir Alice, into these murders. There seemed to be no cohesive themes between any of them, except that the bodies often vanished if left unguarded. Markham decided to introduce Gray to Matthias, so they set up a meeting at the Pies Pavilion on the weekend. They met up without any issues, other than colliding into a drunkard on the way, and they had a great meal together, cementing friendships and acquaintances. As they walked towards the inn that Matthias was staying at, the Howling Brook, they decided to walk down a side alley to cut time. Not their best decision. They walked around halfway down the pitch-dark street until Gray tripped on something soft and cold. A body. 3 dark-robed figures ominously drifted towards the 3 men. Matthias drew his large sword, which was split in 2. The robed figures formed a small triangle around the group, starting a low, barking chant. Marken drew his greatsword, a gift from a new friend in the city, and whispered its code words. "I need your help, dearie." Last Love lifted into the air and flew like a javelin into the chest of the closest cultist. He managed to deflect it though, just into his side rather than his sternum, flicking his hood off of his head in the process. The golden blonde cultist clutched at the dancing greatsword, the blade shivering. It flew out of the wound, flicking around and hacking into his neck. He stopped, cold. The corpse fell, revealing a line of sight to the second cultist, just as a black longsword clove his buckler in half. Angered, Matthias screamed at the man, dark runes encircling his own arms and shoulders, boiling and melting his flesh. The third cultist finished the chant, magic coiling around his legs. He leapt forwards, slashing at Grey and Matthias, ricocheting off of the wounded cultist that Matthias was fighting, and back at Grey once more. The blunt strikes imparted by the magic around his legs knocked Grey clean out and stunned Matthias. Angry, Marken smiled, pulling Lady Love to his side. He flicked his wrists forwards and pinned both of the 2 cultists to the ground, the sword through the hearts of both. He quickly ran over and pulled some healing supplies from Grey's satchel, smelling salts and a salve of glistening berries. As Grey was coming back to conscience, he noticed a man at the corner of the street, the drunk he had seen before, but this time he recognized him. Just as the man turned and ran from sight, it clicked in his mind. Beathric? Grey shouted, "Follow that man!" The boiling black skin on the shoulders of Matthias congealed into 2 large bat-like wings with a sickening pop. Muscles, bones, leather, tendons, all forming out of his shoulders. With a leap, he lifted into the air. From the air, Matthias followed the running man into a tavern, where he then vanished. He looked around, but Matthias could not find him. So he returned to the group. As he returned, he came to the sight of his friends being accosted by Sorellis. I can forget what happened here if you help me with my case. But for that, you must become licensed guardsmen. Strangely, that was all that they needed to hear. So they enlisted within the week, and the training itself took a long, arduous month. The day that they were cleared for active duty, they were invited to a small bakery by Sorellis, the end of his only lead. As Grey entered the shop, he went over to the display case and noticed a small cheesecake. He remembered an old tale of his father's, a code in cake as it was labelled in his book. He tried to decipher what the cake could mean, and strangely, it worked. It stated, "Meet at midnight, downstairs, small ones." Grey raised an eyebrow and sat down to discuss his discovery with the table. Sorellis looked excitedly. Wood, the Small Ones, was the name of the cult he had been tracking down. So the group made a plan then and there. They would infiltrate the cult and take it down from the inside if possible. And so, the next morning they picked up some disguises from the guard office, some cloaks with the triangle emblem embezzled into them, and then, the evening of that day, they arrived again at the bakery, and without any issues they were let into the basement, where they found a tunnel leading into a large, open, amphitheatre-like cave at the back of an empty barrel. I'm sorry that, again, these videos have been a lot more fast-paced. That is because I am making one video a day so that I can catch up to the current point in the story. I may also end up leaving the very end of the story out as a kind of special thing if you request it. So, I'll see you in the next video, which is hopefully tomorrow. Bye!